It got raves at the Cannes Film Festival, and, you know, look, you were here for a Paul Mescal or a Josh O'Connor movie. Can I interest you in a Paul Mescal and Josh O'Connor movie? It's The History of Sound.
You got your Paul Mescal and my Josh O'Connor. You got your Josh O'Connor and my Paul Mescal.
Hey.
Just handsome and singing by the piano. This is going to be a non-spoiler review. Both films we're talking about today, we're going to do non-spoiler reviews of, because they go to places that you're going to want to discover on your own. So come hang out, come subscribe. It's Art House Tuesday. We love doing this kind of thing. So if you do too, come join us.
She says that I can't be your bride. Don't die.
So Paul Mescal and Josh O'Connor both play musicians who meet at the, I guess it's back then it's called the New England Conservatory, the Boston Conservatory. It's the Conservatory of Music. It's like 1919 somewhere.
It's
1917, I want to say. It's in there. And they meet, and it's a crowded bar, and everyone's smoking and drinking, but Paul Mescal's character, Lionel, here's a song coming from the piano. And it's a song that he knows from his youth in Kentucky. He is not a fancy lad at the conservatory. He grew up on a farm in Kentucky, but has this incredible ear and this prodigious musical ability. He is a singer. Josh O'Connor is playing piano. He's a composing major. And it's how they find each other and then go on this journey through Maine in particular to find folk songs, to go around and listen to people telling the songs that have been passed down to them from generation to generation, that they've sung on their front porches and sung around their dining room tables. And he wants to capture this particular, very specific kind of Americana and use it to document it, but also as a launching pad for his own inspiration. And they fall in love. This is not a spoiler. They fall for each other. But of course, because of the time it is, they cannot be out. They've got to be surreptitious about it. They are just really, really good friends traveling New England and gathering songs. Oliver Hermanus directed this, who also did Moffie and did Living.
He also did a film that we screened at Outfits years ago called Beauty, which is one of the most like intense and disturbing queer films I've ever seen.
Okay.
But this is not that.
This is not intense or disturbing. This is like language to a fault. It is very lovely. It is almost entirely like neutrals. Like go into my closet and look at the kind of clothes I wear. And that is the palette for this film. It's all like oatmeals and browns and
ecru's.
Ecru. It's almost too understated, like to a fault. It is lovely and it is melancholy. And there is that sense of longing that, you know, these two people should be together. They have this shared love of music. They have this immediate spark. But I never felt a sense of real passion between them. It's just kind of like they're hanging out and they have an understanding about each other and their shared interests and their love of music. I think it really comes to life when they're getting the stories from people, when they're going door to door and hearing, you know, it's totally unadorned. It comes from this deep, pure place, these songs that they're gathering. And that part to me was the most powerful and the most provocative. There's an opening narration where we're hearing about Paul Mescal's character's childhood and like the gift he has for music and how he has perfect pitch. Like his mom will sneeze and he'll know what note it is, or he'll hear a note and he sees it in a color. And I don't know that ever comes to bear as an adult for him. He sort of seems like he's along for the ride with Josh O'Connor's character, who is ridiculously charismatic and who wouldn't go traipsing about Maine with him. You know, Paul Mescal's character is much more understated. He hasn't come from means the way a lot of these guys do. So I think there's an insecurity there because of that. But the foundation that they lay for us in the VO, I don't think we ever truly feel it with the Paul Mescal character, and he's our through line, and so that becomes a weak link. But they're nice together.
I felt it. I think, I mean, yes, it is an understated passion because of the era they're living in and the sort of secrecy within which they have to operate. But I think there are enough longing looks and kind of, you know, not long handshakes, but you know what I mean, like ways that they're able to touch each other and stuff. To me, it was giving me all that stuff. I mean, yeah, you're right. The movie is the color palette is very restrained. It's like looking through an old photo album of like, you know, daguerreotypes, you know, of like very kind of just the early kind of black and white stuff, even though this is in color.
Yeah.
And what I kept thinking about was I know that the filmmakers sort of chafed to comparisons to Brokeback Mountain, and those could be facile. I think this movie does have a few plot structure parallels with it. But I remember one of the reviews that I read about Brokeback Mountain complained about the fact that Heath Ledger's character gets busted because Michelle Williams realizes that they aren't really fishing. You know, she leaves the note in the fishing reel and he doesn't find it and stuff. And one critic was like, those guys would be fishing during the day and then fucking at night, you know? And so I at least like the fact that this movie where, like, you know, when they go out on this trip together to like do the recordings and stuff, they do the recordings, you know, and they like have, you know, special tent time together later. So, you know, I thought it, you know, kind of gave a depth to their relationship in that they both had this passion, obsession, fascination with music, and that they were, you know, exercising that throughout the film. And, you know, Hermanus, who is, you know, not American, but does, I think, a really amazing job of kind of capturing these sort of like, American vistas and this very inherently American folk music, obviously much of it brought to our shores by immigrants, but you know, in a kind of the movie has almost sort of like an anthropological bent in what it's portraying that way. So yeah, for me it worked. It is ultimately maybe a little wispy and languid, but in a way that I found still compelling.
I think it works best when they are together versus when we are off with one or the other, right? There's a spark there, but there are times where we're just like alone. At one point, Paul Mescal goes back to the farm, and none of that is as compelling as when he's like in the city or in the country with Josh O'Connor, and they have this, I think he needs someone to bring him to life. This character feels a little, despite his abilities, he feels a little passive and maybe insecure, and the spark of this adventure draws him out.
Well, there's something about the way that he's portrayed and that he is more reactive than active. Even as a musician, it's all about, I can hear this thing and I can give it back to you, as opposed to I can create this music, you know? And so I think that's kind of baked into the character in a lot of ways.
Right. And the other guy's a composer.
Yeah.
I want to mention really fast that the cinematographer, we're talking about the muted hues here. Alexander Dinan also shot First Reformed, Paul Schrader. So that makes sense, you know.
Yeah, totally.
Understated, almost like desaturated. Yeah, I'm kind of mixed on this. Like, it's nice. It's not gonna like put a lump in your throat or overwhelm you with the passion of this love affair. And that was, maybe I was looking for that. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it's beautiful, and I think it's beautifully acted, but it doesn't rouse the emotions in any direction. But I think it is nonetheless. I think there's a haunting quality to it. Just, you know, as with any kind of romance that is set in an era where that romance can't happen.
Yeah. What's your number?
I'm going to say like a 7.9.
Okay. I'm going to say a 6.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. But if you want to just hang out with Paul Mescal and Josh O'Connor for a while, you got that. So
there are worse ways to spend a couple hours.
Yes. The History of Sounds in theaters this weekend. Go check it out.